Alright, class 3, I believe. Today we're doing selection. So we learned what is evolution. Well, we learned the history, and we learned how evolution is enacted. We looked at variations and adaptations, and today we're going to look at why. Why does evolution occur? So, in the lesson before, we learned that there's adaptations. But we never learned why they do adaptations. So now we're going to learn why they do it. So you see, this is an English peppered mouth, or moth, whatever. But this is its binomial name, genus, species. Hey guys, diversity. We gotta remember. So, and this is its counterpart, the black one. So back when England, before England had Industrial Revolution, these white pepper mouth, they were really in favor because the trees around it was really white and everything was white, so they were in favor. So they were able to blend into the environment really well, and the predators aren't able to catch them. However, on the other side, you had these black ones. These black ones, well, they weren't so lucky. They didn't blend into the trees as well. So when the predator comes hunting for food, they are the absolute first one they see. So the population, as you would expect, they kept on dropping because these black ones kept on dying. However, Industrial Revolution came around, and then suddenly all the trees are black now because of the carbon dioxide gas that we emitted. So suddenly all of these trees have changed color. So now the white ones are the obvious one out. So it's suddenly the mouth population started dropping so fast because these white ones, they were the majority before, and now they just so much of them are starting to die. So the black one on the other side, now it blends into the environment really well. So it won't get killed as much, and its population increased really quick. So the first known black one was only caught in 1848. At that time, the black moth actually made up less than 2% of the population. So you could see this. It really looked obvious. You could look at these trees and you'd be like, there's maybe this is a white one, but hey, this is a black moth right away. I'm gonna go eat them. Well, you're probably not gonna eat them, but the predators will. But suddenly, Industrial Revolution came around, and the trees, they absorbed too much carbon dioxide, they absorbed too much greenhouse gas, and now they became black. So suddenly, look, the black moth, even though they don't blend in as well as the white moth did back here, however, they didn't evolve at all. They didn't have any evolution or adaptation yet. They're just there. And now they're blending really well. So whenever you see this white moth, you're likely going to hunt this one down because it's so obvious. Maybe you can't see the black one so well, but you can see the white one right away. So suddenly, the white one's population dropped really quick because it's so obvious and everybody can see it. And the black population went up. So that is a selective advantage. So it's a genetic advantage of one organism over its competitors. It could be within the same species, or most of the time within the same species. Yeah. So over time, a selective advantage allows the organism with the favorable trait to survive and reproduce more. So essentially, explained by the mouth. So when these white ones, they just keep on dying. The black ones, they are able to camouflage well, and they are now in favor. So they are able to reproduce and mate and have a baby that's very likely going to be black. Because of that advantage, there's probably going to be more black moth, and we can derive that conclusion. However, this wasn't really a natural selection, because who caused the Industrial Revolution? We did. But on the other hand, we have natural selection, obviously. So natural selection is a process that results when the characteristic of a population of organisms change over many generations. This change happens because individuals with certain traits will survive better and they will reproduce, passing their traits to their offspring. So when you talk about natural selection, it's really not the English moth. That's probably not a good example. We could probably talk about let's say snakes. Sure, the snake colors. So we learned about the scarlet snake, red snake, and all that. So one of them is poisonous. However, it probably wasn't poisonous when it was couple thousand years ago, it probably was just a little snake that couldn't even spit any poison or couldn't even do all of these fancy stuff that it can do now. However, suddenly, maybe one of them had this mutation that they're now able to produce some venom and spit it out. So now they are able to survive better. So it's a natural selection. It's the nature trying to do its job, trying to select who survives. So natural selection is situational. It's not random at all. It could be foreseen by humans, obviously, because we're much more smarter. So a trait that at one time in situation seemed to have no relevance to survival, it could be a trait that in other situations could help the individual survive. So remember that the black moth, there were never any color. There were never any other color. They were just black the whole time. Suddenly the trees now changed color. So now they're in an advantage. So they didn't do anything. You gotta understand, it's the nature that changed. So that brings up the idea of fitness. The relative contribution an individual can make to the next generation by producing offspring that will survive long enough to reproduce their offspring. So basically, if you have grandchildren, well, not you, but if somebody has a lot of grandchildren, they're, by the biological idea, they're fit. They're really fit. And if a guy or a woman does not have any grandchildren, they are, by the biological idea of not fit, they are inferior. So we're going to talk about selective pressure. Selective pressure is a pressure that is going to pressure the species or the population to change. So it's an environmental condition that selects for certain characteristic of individuals and select against other characteristics. So black and white, we're looking at two completely different color in two completely zone. So you see, it was originally white. However, because it turned to black trees, the white ones now die. So it's select against the white, but it's selecting in favor of black. As you can see here in the beetles, these are just mutations. Do they do anything? No, absolutely not. They're just different colors. Does it taste better? No. Is it bigger? No. Does it produce venom? No. It's just a color change. However, you have this bird, this little blue feathered bird that looks so pretty. A little bird. I like it. I love it. It's trying to eat. It's eating its beetles. Its daily meal, breakfast, dinner, lunch. So his mother, or her mother, or sorry, their mother, because I don't want to talk about incidents now, so gotta be politically right. So, this bird, their parents taught them to eat this little colored beetles because they were common. So he does. He does his daily meal of breakfast, dinner, lunch. Yummy. He eats all of them. However, now he has all of these. Only these red and weird colored beetles are left. Because why? He ate all the other ones. He liked the other ones. Well, his parents told him to eat the other ones. So obviously he's going to eat the other ones. So now suddenly these populations went down. The red ones are able to survive and reproduce. So we have a bunch of red beetles going around. So the little bird decides, hey, you know what? This is the last one. I'm going to hunt him down. I'm going to eat him. So he eats it. So now only red beetles are left. So what are the options for our little bird right here? Well, there are two options. One, he's going to try this red beetle and find out it's nothing wrong than the brown one or the whatever that color is. Or he's going to starve to death. So we're going to talk about bacteria, because bacteria are alive, and just like any population or any species, they will evolve too. So when antibiotics is some sort it's a medicine given by our doctors that will treat an infection caused by bacteria and other microorganisms. So penicillin, if you took chemistry, that's your first class. What is penicillin? I think. Well, at least that's what they did to me. But so the bacteria, they were supposed to be killed by the antibiotics because we made them. It's a medicine that's supposed to kill the bacteria. However, some bacteria gets killed, and because bacteria they share information with each other. If you remember from diversity. some of them will actually become resistant to the antibiotics. That's why when you eat a lot of a certain medicine and when you grow older, you realize, hey, why does eating this not work anymore? So the ones that survive, they will reproduce and pass on the mutation to their daughter cells. Because remember, bacteria, mitosis. And individual members of the population do not change at all over their lifetime. So you can't be like, one bacteria can't be like, hey, you know what? Yesterday I see this antibiotic. Today I'm going to be invincible to it. No. It's over time. The population changes in ability to resist. It's going to be over time. This one dies. He gained a little bit information on the antibiotic, so he became a little resistant, and his daughter learned a little more and became more resistant, and so on and so on. It's a very slow process, a very gradual process. Rapid reproduction and selective advantage. So as we learn in diversity, some viruses and bacteria, they reproduce extremely quick, so quick that they have a better chance of getting mutations and being able to pass it on. So a new allele may provide a selective advantage. So in antibiotic resistant bacteria, viruses, or many other insects, this is the case. They're able to reproduce very quickly, so they're able to get this resistant gene really fast. High reproductive rate will allow these new resistant genes from a random mutation to have a selective advantage to some individuals when environmental change. So you just gotta understand that these things reproduce so fast. So when they get a trait that's resistant to the antibiotic, they're going to survive and they're going to pass it on. So essentially, because they reproduce so fast, and so your antibiotic, let's say, kills 50% of them, but because they reproduce so fast, the rest that doesn't die, they're gonna reproduce 100% is back in no time. So it's really quick, and they have an advantage because of their reproductive speed. So it means if one of these bacteria, just one singular bacteria, it developed a mutation that can resist against the antibiotics, it's going to mean that the entire population will live. Now, when we talk about population, we don't talk about the same population. So let's say your grandpa. You don't talk about the people that's your grandpa's age. When we talk about population, we don't just talk about your grandpa's age group, or let's say the 1950s or something. We talk about the entire population of humans. We don't talk about the age group. We don't care. So maybe if half of these died, let's say, actually no, 95% of them died. Only 5% survived and reproduced. So that 5% is still population. We aren't talking about the rest. We don't care. We don't care which one they are. We just care about their population and whether these type of bacteria, if they exist or not. So here's how it works. We have a bunch of bacteria that only has one of them is resistant. So a lot of these, they'll dead. Right here you can see dead bacteria. They're all dead. So this one's resistant. Now, that resistance, because it multiplies and divides itself really fast, boom, we have a bunch of guys that's resistant. And then our antibiotic is still doing their job, obviously. It kills more of these regular ones. So all of the regular dies, and everyone is resistant. So that's how it works. So eventually the entire infection evolves into a resistant strain against that antibiotic. Now, we're going to talk about artificial selection. So we talk about natural selection due to the nature. We're not going to talk about things that we do. So selective pressure that's done by humans on populations in order to improve or modify certain traits. So I don't want to sound too bold, but we do this for fun. We don't do this because we want it better for them. We do this because we want to know what goes on. We want to experiment. That's why there's so much mice that we kill. So an example of this is selective breeding. We breed dogs. So there's so much different breeds of dogs. You could have a German Shepherd or a Dalmatian or whatever. So there's so much breeds of dogs. So why do we have them? Well, some of them look better than others. Some of them, they're cuter than others. Some of them, they're smarter than others. So these are why we do it. It's because we desire for it. We like it. We want them. It's a wish. It's a want. So on the other hand, the most of our food that we eat, it comes from species that have been selectively bred. Well, so when you grow normal fruit and veggies, they don't grow so well. It's not like they're going to grow well everywhere. It's not like something that grows well in Asia is going to grow well in North America. No, that's not how it works. So essentially, we'll breed them so many times that we find this one plant that of the same. Let's say I grew potatoes in China. They don't grow so well in Canada. So I do it. I experiment thousands and billions of times. I found this one potato that grew good in Canada. I bring that potato and grow it in Canada. So now that potato is very big, very delicious. So but now it's cheaper for Canada to import that potato, or to say for Canadians to buy that potato because it was originally grew in Canada instead of Canada imported it from somewhere else. And obviously we gotta talk about tomatoes. Tomatoes they aren't that big. Tomatoes are really small actually, but we breed them so that now they're so big and well, they cost more, so the farmers make more money. So cows that produce more milk, chickens that grow faster or produce more egg, crops that are pest resistant, and remember, horse racing, they breed sometimes it takes like I'm pretty sure it takes like let's search up. How much does it take for a really good horse's sperm? Okay, yeah, it takes around 100,000 to 200,000 if you do horse racing to get like a really good horse sperm. Like they do that because they want a faster horse to win the races. It's really crazy. So the master plan, we gotta talk about this. This is selective bred because it produces so much stuff. Cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, broccoli flower, whatever that is. So because these flowers produce all of these plants, we selectively breed some of them to produce us bigger cabbages. We selectively breed some of them to produce broccoli. We selectively produce some of them to produce cauliflower, and we selectively breed some of them to that's yeah, whatever. We just so you know, we selectively breed them because we want it. So there's a problem with this though. When we breed things specifically, they all tends to have problems because we interbreed a lot. So interbreeding means that, huh, this dog it looks pretty good. I'm gonna breed it with its cousin. So let's not sound too disgusting here. So it tends to have these rare diseases. And when we breed one thing too much, the other traits tend to be pretty bad. So English Bulldog, they are selectively bred for traits like their flat face. However, because their face is so flat, it starts causing some respiratory problems. And German Shepherds, we want them to be big and large. They have hip dysplasia. So the dogs and animals, they were supposed to be in the way they are. We wasn't supposed to modify them at all. However, because we wanted to modify them, and we do that, now they have all of these bad traits. So crops that are selectively bred, they lack genetic diversity because when you put them out in the nature, they could breed with anything, the pollination, all that. So this is a huge problem because our plants, if some sort of disease that came over attacked these plants, now all of our plants are dead. So pandas. Pandas are this exclusive animal from China. However, there's a big problem with pandas. A lot of them have diseases that we cannot cure. Some of them are, you see their colors. It's not so great anymore. Why? It's because there's not enough of them. So pandas are this very endangered species, I believe. So they need and because we bred them before, or well, they got into a so low population, all of them tend to have some sort of relations. So we try our best to breed the ones with the least amount of relations. Now humans, we notice this, so we developed something called gene banks. It's basically storage of sperms, and that is used to protect genetic diversity. So essentially, when an animal they have some sort of disease, we realize, oh, we killed all of the other types. Now all of ours are gonna die. So let's say I have a type of cheetah, but then suddenly so I have this whole breed of cheetah that came from one common ancestor, because that ancestor ran super fast. So we want to breed them to run super fast. But suddenly there's a disease that attacked this type of cheetah. But because they came from all of one common ancestor, they're all going to die because they don't have any resistance to this disease. They came from one ancestor, remember? So now we're going to take some sperm out of this gene bank and we're going to put it in those, female cheetahs, and they're going to breed. So now we could have some genetic variation and be resistant to this virus and survive. Very simple. And that is the last lesson of